Welcome to our very first Duggar discussions. And to start this one out, I wanted to read some statistics from a survey that I found. This was an online survey of teens ages 13 to 17, and it was conducted just last year. So this survey showed that 96% of teens use the internet daily. And out of those, about 70% of them said they visit YouTube at least daily. So that's a lot of time that our young people are spending online, and it presents a huge opportunity for them to be influenced by what they're seeing on social media. And so much of what they're seeing isn't good. That's actually why I wanted to start this channel. Seeing all of the just quite literally evil that is out there right now, I feel like it's more important than ever that Christian wives and moms need to be more social or more visible on social media. And so I know I'm just one person, but I feel like that each of us as a single person, if we're all becoming more visible on social, that's going to be a lot of good to overcome the negative that's currently available on there for our young people. And where I see the detrimental effects that social media is having with our young people the most is our young girls, and our young women. A lot of the videos that they're putting out there are just awful. You can really tell that they have not had positive, or maybe they did have a positive influence in their life. Maybe they came from a stable home with wonderful parents, but the negative that is on social media, when you look at it, two parents, and maybe another family member or teacher, and then the vastness of just evil that is on social media, it's no wonder that they have been influenced by all of that. And so I feel like since social media use is not going to slow down anytime soon, we need to have more of a presence online to fight the evil that is on there. And it's not like it was 100 years ago. 100 years ago, girls, we were living in a much more close-knit communities. Girls would grow up with their moms and their aunts and as their role models, other women in the church as their role models. Even just when I was growing up, there still wasn't as much. I'm a millennial. And so even growing up in my generation, there wasn't as much going on with the internet. We had dial up with AOL. And so there was no Facebook, there was no TikTok, there was no YouTube. And so we still got our examples of how to behave and how to interact with other people from the older generations. But young people nowadays just aren't getting that. Our communities aren't as close. And even if they do have a few good examples in their families or in their communities, it's massively, the social media massively takes away from any of the good effects that they could get. It's just the positive influences are just completely outnumbered by the negative influences online right now, and we have to turn that around. I did want to share with you a couple of videos that I saw recently. It's just such a shame how our young women especially are acting. It doesn't seem to affect young men as much, although we can see some detrimental effects, but it doesn't. Young women, and if you think like back when you were in school, as a young girl, we are just a lot more impressionable. We're a lot more vulnerable, excuse me. And boys just, they kind of don't care as much what their peers think. But young girls, we hinge a lot of how we feel about ourselves on how other people, uh, how they feel about us, how they treat us. And so young women especially are so vulnerable to what they see on social media. The first one that I wanted to show you here is just, I cannot believe, the only people we saw like this, dancing like this, or only people we heard about dancing like this was girls in the strip club. This was not,
women like this are inspiring young girls to grow up and do the same thing.
this was not just behavior that you saw just out, you're out at a fast food place, or, I look kind of like a smoothie shop there. You didn't see women acting like that. Women had so much more respect for themselves. And like he said in that video there, that is the example our young girls are getting now. This is another one. I could not believe when I heard this girl. It's just so
This tuna
sad.
tunnel gut locker.
Get railed by two guys, which is something I do quite often, if I'm honest with myself. And while I'm waiting for them to get here, I was just thinking,
She's a runner. She's a track star. Is that what you're thinking?
I'm on pace to hit 365 bodies in 365 days. And last year, I was excited when I hit 300 in a year. But then this leads me to think, what am I going to do next year? 500? 600? I'm
Go for 1,000. Go big or go home, honey.
ambitious woman. I need to make sure that I'm always striving for greatness. I need to be.
These young girls are so just deceived. They have been so deceived by what they should be aiming for, what their goals should be. And it is just so sad. I see girls like that, and I just think, these girls, they don't value their body, they don't respect themselves. They are so starved for attention that they will do anything on the camera. And, it's bad enough to see these women doing it, and I feel like, these women need a better example so they can hopefully turn themselves around. But the idea that these are the women that our children are growing up seeing. The thought, my daughter's 7 right now, so she's not on social media, and a little bit of YouTube Kids, but more like Cocomelon and things like that. But the idea that in a few years, if she's on social media, and these kids are smart nowadays, even if you put parental controls on things, a lot of them will find a way around it. And the idea that that might be what she's watching absolutely terrifies me. And so I feel like the only way to combat this is for more of us as moms and wives to get on social, not show your whole life or anything like that, but just to be providing an example of what it means to be a woman and to value your body and to care about something more than yourself. To show how fulfilling life can be when you are living for someone else. It's just these young women nowadays, it's like they're stuck in this selfish stage, and they just, it's like they don't know how to grow past that. So even they need an example of what they could have, what it could look like to not just live for the next video or live for the next party night. What it could look like to have a stable relationship with a loving husband, what it could look like to be a mom. And then our young girls, especially I know growing up, my main goal, my dream was to be a mom. And it's because that's what I saw in my community, in my church. I saw the mothers, raising their kids, bringing them up in the church. I saw how much fulfillment they got from that. And that's what our younger generation needs, not this trash, not this just dancing for attention or not going out every night. This girl's saying she's on pace for 365 bodies, 365 days. That is just not just sad, but sickening to think that, our younger generation, our teenagers, especially our teen girls, are seeing that and that they may be influenced to try to, emulate that. So that's the main reason that I wanted to start this channel. I wanted to put a positive influence out there for our young people, especially our young girls. And I wanted to encourage other moms and wives to be a little more visible, even if it's just, a 1-minute video a couple of times a week, just showing, how fulfilling life is when you're doing life with your best friend. When you've got somebody beside you that is there for the long haul, that's not just gonna up and leave the next morning or up and leave when things get tough. What it's like to be a mother and to realize that that person is your world. So I do hope that you'll subscribe and join me for our future Duggar discussions. We're going to be going through a lot of topics. I do believe it's important for us as mothers to stay aware of what's going on politically. A lot of times politics can seem very far from home, doesn't concern me, but I've seen so much of what I've seen going on in these last 4 years has, whether it or not it's impacted me personally, I can see the effect that it's having on other families, what it's having on our future generation. And it is really scary to see how a lot of these new policies are affecting our young people. So we're going to dive a little bit into politics. We're going to discuss, what it means to be a mom and a wife. We're going to tackle some topics like feminism and how feminism has failed women. So I do hope you'll join me for our future videos and that you'll subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.